What's going on YouTube? This is Natural Bodybuilder Ryan coming to you with another video update on bulking as well as a discussion about rep ranges. First of all, to my subscribers, hope you're doing well. Happy October, almost November. Hope you're getting ready for Halloween. I know I am. So I wanted to make this video to briefly discuss rep ranges when it comes to building muscle. What I'm seeing a lot on various bodybuilding forums and on other YouTube videos, primarily for natural bodybuilders, is I'm seeing this heavy promotion of the 6 to 8 rep range as being sort of the golden mean, the ideal, the rep range that you'll make the greatest size gains in. And the premise of this is, well, the strength gains are better, so as a natural, you get strength gains, you get size gains. That's really the only way to do it. And so logically it seems to make sense that 6 to 8 reps is the best range because the strength gains are the best, and yet you still get a good amount of time under tension. While I don't necessarily disagree that this is a good rep range to train in, and I don't disagree that the strength gains are great on it, I want to offer you a different perspective. No one would argue that training in the 8 to 12 rep range is just as good, if not better, for stimulating sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And some would argue that, the strength gains aren't as good. You get more of a pump with that rep range, but you should stick with 6 to 8. But no one really talks about the metabolic effects of training in that higher rep range. If you're on a bulking cycle, what would you say one of your primary goals should be? Well, I would say it would be to increase the amount of calories that you can eat a day while still gaining muscle at the optimum rate. Now, no one's going to argue that training in the 8 to 12 rep range is bad, but what I've seen to note is that training in that range as opposed to 6 to 8 burns a heck of a lot more calories. And provided that you eat enough calories to support muscle growth, at least for me, the strength gains are relatively similar. But as an added benefit, the mind-muscle connection and the time under tension is a lot greater in that rep range. So with that being said, it seems almost silly to train in a lower rep range if all it really takes to make some strength gains are consistent form and a good calorie surplus and time. Why wouldn't you just train in the rep range that allows you to eat the most amount of calories? Now, I'm not saying you should train in 15 to 50 rep range because that's not intense enough to stimulate any muscle growth, but 8 to 12 reps is still sufficient amount of tension, and the time under tension is greater, but no one really talks about the effect of the training on your resting metabolic rate. I personally find that I can eat 200 to 300 more calories a day when I shift my training block to using basically 8 to 12 rep range for almost all movements. And as long as I'm still getting a surplus, provided that it's more calories than if I was training in the 6 to 8 rep range, I still gain strength at the same rate. So it just seems, intuitive to me to train in the highest rep range possible to A, get the best mind-muscle connection, B, to get the most time under tension with a sufficient intensity, and C, to support, the highest resting metabolic rate that you can while still gaining muscle. And this is just anecdotal. I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but every time I train in 8 to 12 rep range, I don't look, even when I'm gaining weight, I don't look as fat. Like, it just, Maybe it's the pump, maybe it's residual swelling or something, but it just seems like I look better. And what I think happens to a lot of people is they go from 6 to 8 reps thinking that, 8 to 12 reps is somehow better for hypertrophy, so they start training in that rep range, but they fail to adjust their calorie needs upwards because they're burning more calories, so they end up not gaining any strength or muscle because suddenly they're not eating enough and they just assume that that rep range sucks. I think there's a lot more to it than just examining a number. You got to take into account the metabolic effects. But that's just my perspective on it. I'd like to hear your perspectives. Which rep range works best for you? I'm a big believer in finding the one that works for you, but generally I don't want to just view the rep range in pure isolation by the number. I want to take into account all the factors. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Leave a comment below and like the video if you like it. Oh, and before I forget, it's been about 13, maybe 12 weeks, I'm not exactly sure, of me bulking now, and I'm thinking I'm going to keep bulking for a while because the gains are coming pretty slow and consistent. So I'm going to do a few poses for you now just to show you how I'm doing. And thanks for watching.